I don't. I don't typically smoke cigars. I just like to chew cigars. I don't. That's just my thing. Well, one, my wife probably doesn't want me smoking in the house. Two, when I do smoke a cigar, the next day I just I feel nasty. My mouth feels nasty. So I'm not opposed to smoking cigars. I just don't typically smoke cigars. I just literally chew on them all the time. I grew up chewing Copenhagen. I grew up on a farm, so it was kind of the thing to do. I chewed Copenhagen all my life. Sometimes Red Man, depending on the audience. Red Man's a leafy tobacco. Copenhagen's like this finely cut snuff. Nasty habit. Agreed. Nasty habit. And I kicked it. I kicked the habit probably 10 years ago. I kicked the habit of Copenhagen and snuff. And then I thought it would be healthier to vape. So I vaped for a while. And then I heard that caused lung cancer just as well as cigarettes. So I stopped vaping and I started doing the Nicorette gum. And I did that for a while. And then Nicorette gum was like $50 a week. So I'm like, this is ridiculous, a ridiculous habit. So then I switched to snus, like Camel snus for a while. And then my dentist said, you're going to get cancer on your lips. So I finally went to cigars. I'm chewing cigars. So far, I don't know the ramifications of it, but it seems to be less than the other ones. Full disclosure, I have 4 boys. And one of my boys is Max, is 16 years old, and Max got caught with a vape last year. I think last year we caught him with a vape. And so since then, we've been nicotine testing him. And just for fun, my wife said, hey, why don't you take a nicotine test and see if you pass just chewing cigars. I failed miserably. It was absolutely positive. So I get plenty of nicotine from just chewing cigars. It's my thing. It's what I'm known for. I guess it's more of a moniker or a statement or a Patrick trademark. It's 8:37. My wife went out with friends to some plant making thing. I don't even know what that means because I'm a man and I don't like build plant stuff. I guess I don't. She explained it to me. I was listening. I think I'm pretty sure it was making plants or decorating something. It was beyond my scope of understanding or caring. Don't tell my wife I said that. So I had our 9-year-old Preston this evening. I had to work till like 8, so that's not true. I worked till 6:45, and then I made goulash. Check that. My wife made goulash. I heated goulash up, and then fed it to the boy and told him I made it. So he thinks Dad made dinner. Then we watched Harry Potter, the 5th one. I can't remember what it's called. I'm sure somebody knows. And then he read me a book called Grumpy Santa. I think that's the name of it. He actually did pretty good reading. And my wife's still out. It's 8:39. And so this is I work all day long. I get up at 5. 5 to 7 is my quiet hours. My 5 to 6:25 actually, depending on when I wake up. Between 4 and 5 o'clock every morning. And when I wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I go make coffee, 3 cups of coffee, and I come downstairs and I enjoy the solitude. I enjoy just being alone for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just collecting my thoughts, preparing mentally for the day. It's a cathartic area down here in the basement in my man cave / basement / podcasting studio, if you might say. And so then once 6:25, I'll tell you a sweet story. At 6:24, I know the alarm goes off at 6:25. At 6:20-ish to 6:24, I go upstairs and I lay next to my wife and I slowly wake her up. She hits snooze one time. So 6:25, the alarm goes off. 9 minutes later, at 6:34, the second alarm goes off and she gets up and she takes care of the kids. She gets the kids ready for school and packs lunch. And I typically continue watching the news or YouTube videos or just, again, kind of just get ready for the day. By the way, Old Forester 1910 whiskey. It's fantastic, by the way. There you go. Apparently I need to get a new bottle. It's a friend of mine brought that over as a present for a party we had one time. Anyway, where was I going with that story? Kids get ready for school. Oh yeah, and then I go work out for about an hour. So that's 7:30 to about 8:30. Have breakfast, take a shower, get ready for work at 9:00, and then I jump into the day. It's 9:00 until who knows when. Typically it's 5, 6, 7, 8:00. Today was 7. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but you're gonna hear it. You don't have to. I mean, you can fast forward. I don't give a shit. You can click off. It's up to you. This is my channel. I'm not even sure where that was going. Where was that going? Oh, I remember where it was going now. My wife's out with friends, girlfriends, making plants. So from the time Preston goes to sleep till whenever my wife gets home is, what do I got on there? What's that? Is my alone time, that I have again. And typically I don't have that at night. Typically it's my wife is home and my kids are home, and as soon as I get off work, I jump into being a dad. So there's rarely a time where I actually have to be alone and do things that I want to do. Here's one of those rare moments. And I just kind of wanted to share it with you. I don't know what I wanted to talk about. I did a video yesterday about a near-death experience I had. This room is very dusty. So anyway, when I was a kid, I grew up in southeastern Colorado. I grew up on a farm and cattle ranch in the middle of nowhere. The closest town was called Sheridan Lake, Colorado. There was nothing in Sheridan Lake, Colorado. There's a gas station, a parts store, a post office, and a place to eat. And that's pretty much is all that was there. In order to go grocery shopping, you had to go an hour away to a place called Lamar, Colorado. And they had an IGA there, which was high dollar back in the day. I didn't have any neighbors. I didn't have any kids that lived with me. I didn't have anybody around me. I literally lived in a double wide trailer in the middle of nowhere. It was flat land. People don't know Colorado is literally, it's almost 2 states. The left half is all mountainous and resorts and ski resorts and beautiful springs and 20,000 foot mountains. I don't even know if that's true. I think it's 14,000 foot mountains. And the right side of Colorado is all plains and farmland and dry land and cattle ranches. It's very boring and there's no trees. It's just windy and grassy and that's just what it is. And that's where I grew up. And so people would ask me, hey, you live in Colorado? I'm like, oh, yeah. And they're like, oh, you ski a lot? I'm like, no, never once. I don't think I skied until I was like 14 years old. That was not something we did. That was like 6 hours away from where I lived. So no, skiing was not part of my life. Farming was part of my life. Ranching was part of my life. And so I grew up as a kid that worked on a farm and worked on a ranch, and I've never worked harder in my life, honestly. I remember one time when I was 16 years old, and I was driving a tractor, and there was these things called one-ways, and they turned one way, they turned left. That was it. You just went around in a big square, and you turned left, and you tilled the land and killed weeds and broke up hard dirt. And one time the tire went out on the second one-way. There was these dual tires, and it was like 103 degrees. I'm not kidding you. It got to 103 degrees in Colorado, and I had to go change the tire. There was a jack that was on the back, and I was jacking it. I was trying to jack it up, but it was in this clodded field that had been tilled, so I couldn't get any purchase on any of the dirt, and the jack just kept sinking in. I didn't have any rocks or wood or anything to help me get some torque on that jack. And in Colorado, there's these biting flies. They're not like mosquitoes where you don't really feel the mosquito. Biting flies hurt like hell. They bite the hell out of you and it stings and it's 104 degrees, 103 degrees. I can't get the jack to work in the one way. Biting flies. I'm sweating my ass off. It's miserable. I'm hot. And I literally remember thinking to myself, God, if I could just grow up and have a job in an air-conditioned building, that would be utopia. That's all I really want. And that's as grateful as I was back then at 16 years old. today we take that for granted, right? It's a commodity to have air conditioning and work in an environment that's climate controlled. At 16 years old, I did not have the luxury. And I'm not saying that as like, hey, like your grandpa were like, oh, back when I was a kid, that kind of thing. But maybe I guess I am. It was that I knew what I wanted, and it was beyond being a farmer. I went to college and I went to grad school and I got my doctorate and I did all the things that I was supposed to do, but I just knew I wasn't going to be a farmer. I don't take anything away from a farmer or a rancher. They work harder than literally anyone on earth. They are the hardest workers in the world. And I experienced it firsthand every day of my life until I was 18 years old. And this is really just, I guess it's a video blog about part of who I am as a person and the work ethic that was instilled in me as I grew up. I really don't have a point to this video other than saying, hey, this is me. I'm Patrick. I wanted to really showcase what I can do, and hopefully you can take advantage of that and watch my channel a little bit more. Hopefully, if you got this far in the story, you liked it. And if you do, hit like. If you really do, hit subscribe. If you didn't, comment. Interact with me however you want. Let me know what you want to see, what you want to hear. I'd be happy to maybe listen to you and read it. I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but at least read it.